Welcome in everyone to Cozy's Ghost Adventures. Today we're going to be hearing a story from my friend Swamp Barbie from Louisiana. So, without any further ado, I'm going to let her tell the story. Hope you guys can hear okay.
Hi, my name is Christy. I was born in Louisiana. Unfortunately, not raised here my entire life. I got really lucky and didn't drink the water like the rest of the natives.
She didn't drink the water like the rest of the natives.
So anyways, my ghost experiences started out when I was pretty much born. I remember being in the crib, and I believe what I can remember, my first experiences with spirits were that I can remember was when I was 3, and I would see them in this mirror in the trailer we lived in. And I remember this young guy and a few older people, and they would come talk to me in the mirror. And then fast forward till I was older, I asked my mom, this was like a couple years ago, I said, "Hey Mom, you remember when we lived in that trailer, and I would always sleep with you and Dad in y'all's bedroom?" Well, one night, I got out of the bed and I was looking out the door because I saw lights coming down the hallway, and I looked down the hallway and I saw a bunch of people in a line wearing white hoods. They were completely clothed in like white sheets, and they were carrying lanterns, and they were all walking in a line, chanting and going into my bedroom.
My goodness.
And
it's terrifying.
I thought it was my mom, because my mom and Dad, they had me when they were really young. I mean, my mom had me when she was 19, my dad was 22. And my dad, he worked a lot and he partied a lot, and they were all young. Our sisters were young. Everybody was young in the family. And so I remember thinking my entire life that it was them, that they were just doing some weird shit and had a seance that night. And I just woke up and caught them. And my mom looked at me and goes, "Christy, we never did no shit like that. What are you talking about?" I mean, I remember that day vividly, that night.
Wild.
And then it hit me. I was like, oh my God, that's why I started sleeping in my parents' room, because of shit like that.
Right.
So that's like my very first memories. I remember when I would be crying all throughout my life. I'd cry. I'd be upset. My parents were going through a lot, and my dad was drunk, and my mom was crazy, and physically fighting, all kinds of shit happened until I was 7. But I remember being alone and sad, and anytime I would feel like that, being left in my room alone with just toys to play with,
right.
I remember something would come up to me and start rocking me. I would feel the presence of my grandma.
Oh wow.
Holding me and rocking me, and it would calm me down. And I would immediately stop crying and fall asleep. I mean, that happened all the time. And then my next experience with seeing a spirit was when I was about, I think I was like 13 or 14. I spent the night at this girl's house, and I woke up that morning and I had this quilted blanket all wrapped over me. I was like stuck in it and I was panicking, right? Claustrophobia was setting in, and as I was panicking, waking up in this young girl's bedroom, just spending the night, her mom, or who I thought it was at the time, a woman, pulls the quilted blanket off my head, and she was beautiful. And I'd never seen her before, and she was glowing, and I remember exactly what she looked like. And I just looked at her and I said, "Thank you." And she smiled at me, and I turned back over and I went back to sleep. And then we woke back up a little bit later, and we went to the kitchen, and my friend's mom was cooking breakfast, and I looked at her friend's mom and I said, "Thank you so much for taking that blanket off my head." I was panicking, and I was asleep, and I couldn't, I was panicking. And she looked at me and she goes, "I didn't take no blanket off your head, Christy. I never even went into Michelle's room this morning. What are you talking about?"
Wow.
So I remember looking at her and being very confused and, not saying anything more about it. And then more of my experiences I had was when I was pregnant the first time. I moved into this house in Amy, Louisiana, and while I was pregnant, I was setting up my baby's room. It was my first baby, and I would just go sit in there and pull out his clothes, and I would just sit in the middle of the room and just think about what it was going to be like holding my first baby, and I just couldn't wait for all of this to happen, right? Well, in that house, I would always hear a dog barking underneath the carport, and I would look out, and there's no dog there, and that would happen all the time, and I didn't think much of it. And then I started to hear doors open and shut, and there was 2 bedrooms in the apartment, okay, and they were at the end of the hallway. It was my bedroom on one side of the hallway, and directly across was my baby's room. And late at night, I would hear my bedroom door open, shut, and then the baby's bedroom door open and shut. And I would get up thinking it was, the baby's father. And I would go Chip, and I would walk back there, and I would open the door thinking it was him. He went to the bathroom. No. He was in the same position, asleep, not moved, nothing. It was never him. And so, that kind of struck me odd. But it never scared me. The spirit never made me feel like it was a threat. Well, in the same house, there was this one night, and me and Chip were going to sleep, and we had this little lamp on, and it was the type of lamp that you would have to, pull. You have to pull it to turn it off, and you hear it click,
Right.
Well, we're laying there, and the only light on is that light, and I've got my eyes closed, and you can see, like, the light kind of going through my eyelids, like it's on, and all of a sudden I hear click, and I know Chip's still in the bed next to me, and I said,
"Get up!"
That light just turned itself off, and Chip had, I guess, turned another light on or something, and he's just like a deer in headlights, and he's like, "Yeah, it did." And I'm like, okay, so that was weird. And then we just shrugged it off and went to sleep. Well, that night, okay, now I'm 8 months pregnant, 9 months pregnant, right, about to have a baby. And that night, I'm awoken to whispering in the hallway. It's like 2 people whispering, and I hear, because I'm thinking someone broke into our house. There's someone in the hallway. And I hear these people whisper, and I hear, look, they're both sleeping. And as soon as I fucking heard that, I panicked, and I barely moved, and I started elbowing Chip. And I whispered, and I said, someone's in the house. And he goes, okay. And he, grabs the gun out of the nightstand, and he gets up quietly, and he goes, and he looks to the house, and no one's in the fucking house, okay? No one. All right, so next experience I have, which is, one of the most profound ones.
All right, guys. That's my friend Christy's, some of her ghost stories from when she was younger. Very, very good stuff. I can relate. I think my first ghost experiences started when I was 5, if I remember correctly. If you guys watch my videos, you'll know all about it. But I just want to say thank you, Christy, for coming on and telling your story, and I know you have more to come, so I'll be looking forward to hearing what else you got going on there. And yeah, Happy New Year, everybody.